Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm checking out a 2022 INFINITI QX60 all-wheel drive in the sensory trim level. This vehicle is sitting on 255/50 Hankook tires wrapped around 20-inch alloy wheels with a gloss gray finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors on all four wheels. The name of this color is Moonbow Blue, which is a pretty interesting name, a moonbow. If you've ever seen a moonbow at nighttime, a halo around the moon that looks like a rainbow from the ice crystals. But yeah, it's a really nice color. Matches the style of this type of vehicle well. A luxury vehicle, this color is perfect. If you like this shade of color, it is nice. One of those colors you kind of have to see in person, but it looks good. Hopefully the camera's doing it justice. So here in the front, it has a little bit of chrome there in the grille, but it also has, you can see the chrome around the outside is like a frame of the grille, and also the badging as well. But it has this grille that is a gloss black, and it is very interesting. Nissan says that this was inspired by origami, Japanese origami, which is neat. But yeah, really like the grille on this thing. Definitely looks luxury and unique. This outer portion is just filled in. There's no airflow here though. Now at the bottom is just a flat black plastic here, and then you have some more chrome here on the front. There's also parking sensors across the front. They're integrated nicely in the body color of the vehicle. There's one there, and there's one over here as well. Right in the center at the bottom, that's the radar adaptive cruise control sensor right there in the middle, that little circle. Now the headlights are a combination of a projector for your low beams and reflector for your high beams, LED headlights. There's also quite a bit of, quite a bright daytime running lights as well. There's a strip at the very top. And it has some interesting designs here on the headlight bezel as well. But yeah, you can check out my night video, drive down the road, show you what they look like on the road, going down a dark road, and also what the vehicle looks like at nighttime in general. It's kind of hard to see, but there's actually a camera right in here. So you see it right there. It's really well integrated in the design of the vehicle. But you want to know where it is so you can clean it, keep it clean. But man, they did a great job of integrating it right in the center of the vehicle in a high position here in the front. Fantastic. And that's part of the surround view camera system. We'll look at that on the inside. Looking at the profile, you can see there is that black plastic that we saw on the front bottom, continues around each wheel well and the base of the vehicle here. The doors go all the way down to the bottom of the vehicle. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. Also, there's a chrome strip here at the very bottom, kind of emphasizing the length. And then there's chrome around the glass. Also, the privacy glass is all connected together with these gloss black pillars here and here. And if you were to tint the front glass, kind of solidify that look. And it elongates it in a sleek slope to the back of the vehicle as well. Now the handles have chrome on them, but they're also body colored around the outside as well. Upper portion of the side mirror is gloss black. The lower portion is body colored, and that's where you'll find a camera. So there's a camera just under here. You can see that's part of the camera system. There's one right there, just like the front, and it stitches together a top-down view. We'll see that on the inside of the vehicle. This is what the key looks like, and INFINITI's used this key for quite a long time now. It's a sleek, easy to carry key. It's lightweight and looks nice. And it's a full proximity key, and it's designed to where you can just keep it in your pocket and use the vehicle 100%. It does have the lock, unlock buttons, remote start, and the ability to open up the power liftgate and a panic button as well. So to remote start it, you just press the lock button and then hold the remote start button, and it'll start right up. Now it runs for about 10 minutes and then it'll turn off. If you want to turn it off before that, you just press the remote start button, it'll turn back off. But as long as you have the key with you, it could be in your pocket, as long as it's outside of the door, it could be in your pocket, in a bag, doesn't matter. You can lock the doors by placing your finger or hand over the sensor indicated by these 3 lines. So when I get out of the vehicle, I just place my hand there, it locks the vehicle. To unlock it, you just simply place your hand behind the handle here. There's a sensor and it instantly unlocks. You don't have to sit there and hold your hand there for a minute, wait for it to unlock and then open. It simply just like immediately unlocks the doors. And then of course, you can lock it by putting your hand there. Now there is a physical key location here on the driver's side only as well. Now I mentioned that the doors go all the way to the bottom of the vehicle. You can see there's actually a seal under here where it seals up and tries to keep this threshold area a little bit cleaner than if it was not covered up by the door. So that way when you're entering and exiting the vehicle, there's less of a chance of you getting your clothes dirty. Here's the inside of the passenger side door, and it has a puddle light, which is nice. There's also accent lighting and all that stuff on the door. I'll show you that at nighttime. You can check out my night video. But it has this really nice tan color here. Stitching here and here. This is all soft touch. There's black. There's also black open pore wood right in here, looking nice. Presets for a passenger seat. That's cool. And then it has this metallic accent here. This handle is enclosed. You can utilize that for a handle, also a little storage pocket. It is illuminated at night. You can adjust the brightness, turn it on or off, that kind of stuff in the settings. The Bose premium sound system sounds amazing and has a really cool like concave speaker grill right there. There's another speaker grill down here as well. And a pretty good sized pocket at the bottom. Now this is all hard plastic at the bottom, but the rest of it's soft touch. And it's kind of like a vinyl type material. There is an illuminated sill plate here in the threshold. And the seats are pretty nice. They have a full functionality as far as up, down, tilt, and all that. Power seat, 4-way lumbar adjustments, and a massage button. So you can push that and you can have little settings on the screen to what massage you want. It's pretty neat. They're also heated and ventilated, 3-stage heat and 3-stage ventilation. And they are comfortable. Not too intrusive on the body with the bolstering. They're just overall a comfortable feeling seat. Plenty of legroom here in the front. The floor mat snaps in place, so it's not sliding around on you. There's also there's a pocket area right here that's more, it seems to be more accessible to the passenger than the driver, but you can access it from both sides. So this is a soft touch material here around the glove compartment. It is a locking glove compartment, and it's felt lined and it's pretty good size. And here with your vent location there with a gloss black and the chrome lines there. More soft touch here as well as here. This is kind of rubbery soft. This is like a vinyl material here and here. And then you have more of that black open pore wood that extends even behind the screen. It kind of extends as well. It's looking pretty nice, and some stitching is in the French, just real stitching right here. This French design, double stitched. Big sunroof. We'll look at that later. You can see the general opening here in the front. Lots of room to get in and out of the vehicle. The swing of the door is nice. Lots of headroom, lots of leg room. There's not a big place for your legs to have to get up and over. It's just almost level getting in and out. Here in the back, same deal. You got lots of room. The swing of the door is nice. The headroom is nice. It's just wide open space. There's a little bit of tapering here, but as far as getting in and out of the vehicle, it's pretty easy, and that's a big plus in my book. The back door, very similar as the front, even has the wood grain, the speaker grills, and all that stuff. Soft touch here, hard touch at the bottom, just like the front. But it does have a shade back here in addition to the privacy glass, and you can retract the shade into the door when you're not using it. You even have an illuminated sill plate in the threshold here in the back as well. It's just a little bit smaller, and has a little plastic step. And this is for entering the third row. We'll look at that in a minute. But the second row, it is basically a bench seat, and it has a little armrest and cup holders there in the middle. You can recline these seats slightly. You can also fold them down, or you can tilt them up. We'll look at that in just a minute. So there's pockets on the back of both front seats. So it is a pocket, and it's like a vinyl type material here. And a completely flat floor, which is great. So really easy to get comfortable without a big hump in the middle, especially for a center passenger. Some vehicles like this don't even have a center. They have a captain's chairs, which kind of limits your ability to have passengers, of course, but also, you know, it's just kind of inconvenient getting comfortable sometimes if you have less room. So there's USB and USB-C ports, and also a power inverter, 150 watt, 120 volt power inverter. And there's your climate controls back here as well. Now I'll show you what they look like illuminated at night. Kind of comes to life at nighttime. Right now they're all, can't really see much. So these seats fold down, or actually move in two different ways. One is like a cargo mode. So if you want to fold the seats down and add cargo to the back, you lift up on this handle. You could use this handle also to tilt the seat back a little bit, recline it. But if you lift this up without reclining, it kind of flops down. And now this is what I call like a cargo mode. So if you fold the seats down, you want to add the cargo space, this is how you do it. Now if you want to enter the third row, there's a button here. You can push that, and it tilts the seat forward without folding it, so that way you can keep a car seat in place without a child in place, of course, but a car seat can be there, front facing car seat. And then you can enter, move that forward, and you can enter the third row relatively easier. So entering here, and there's the third row seat. Now the third row seat's quite wide, but it only has 2 seat belts. And there's only on the right side is the latch system for car seats. On the left side it doesn't have it. But it is nice and wide, and it has a little space there in the middle. There's also cup holders and charge ports on both sides. You can see it's USB there and USB on the other side as well. There's speakers back here, there's vents on both sides, and also a little light back here as well. But just keep in mind that there's a place for a car seat on that side, but not this side. And there's a little space. Now you see the legroom. When these seats can move forward and back, they can also recline a little bit. This is in its furthest back position. You can see the legroom is very diminished, so you can move the seats forward. So to give you an idea, that's the more forward position. So you can move it back like so. And of course, it depends on, you know, the size of the people in the third row. Kind of limits your ability to move it back or whatever. But the fact that it has a flat floor here, and you know, you can position the seats the way you want them. Maybe pull the front seat forward a little bit, this one a little bit forward, and maybe put an adult in the third row. However you want to do it, but it does have a lot of adjustability. So looking at the back of the vehicle, starting here at the very top, it has these roof rails in like a satin chrome, or smoked chrome, whatever you want to call it, but it looks really nice, these roof rails out there at the top. And of course you can add the crossbars if you need to utilize the roof for anything. There's a body color shark fin antenna here, also a third brake light in the rear spoiler, at the top of the rear spoiler, and then there's a wiper as well. Tail lights are all LED, turn signals, reverse lights, all that's LED back here. You check out my night video to see it in action. Very bright turn signals. The backup camera is in the very center position, integrated well in the design and in a high position. So they did a great job on the camera system for both front and back, I think. Other manufacturers need to take note of that. There's parking sensors back here as well. You can see one integrated in the black, the other one's integrated in the body color. Then it has these little chrome pieces here in the back. Now, some people were saying that these are intended to be like fake exhaust tips, but if you notice, they have the same thing in the front. So I think they're just kind of design features more so than trying to. Obviously, they're not exhaust tips, so they don't even have they're not even sunken in enough to even make you think that. So I'm not sure why people were saying that. But anyways, there's There's also reflectors back here as well. You can see the reflectors, those are not lights. The actual exhaust is quite hidden there on the right side. Okay, so opening up the power liftgate, we can of course use the key, or there's a button located just a little bit to the right of the camera, integrated well once again. And there is a light under here, and I'll show you that at night. It's not super bright, could be brighter, could be a bulb change fix, but it does have it there. So if you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this will be your cargo space, which is, you know, limiting to say the least. You do have some bag holders here and here. You do have the ability to raise up the seats here. I'll show you that in a minute. 12-volt power supply. More cargo space under here as well. The spare tire is located underneath the vehicle, but behind this cover is where you'll find the jack and tools for the spare tire. And also you can utilize that space for a little bit more stuff, for extra tools or whatever, because there's a lot of space in there. There's a little bolt underneath this cover. This is how you actually lower the spare tire down to the ground. So folding these seats down, if we want to add to our cargo space while still maintaining passenger space, we could do that both the third and the second rows. So first we fold the headrest down, then we can pull that up, kind of push the seat down like so. And if we want to raise it, we can simply grab that strap and pull it back up as well. But you kind of have to lean forward. You might get your, lean your clothes on the dirty car or whatever. So they have these buttons here. You press that, and it lifts it up for you, which is pretty cool. Now it puts it in that position, which is not the reclining position, but you can go ahead and grab this, lift up on that, and pull it back, and it'll recline if you want it that way. And of course, you still have to manually lift the headrest as well. So I thought that was pretty neat, the ability to raise the seats just by pushing a button. That's pretty convenient. So you can fold down the third row, have more cargo space. You can fold down one seat or the other. Same thing with the second row. So if you have a long box, you can fold down both right sides and have a long box in there and still maintain quite a bit of passenger space. Or you can fold down all the seats and have a huge cargo area. There's two buttons to lower the power liftgate. One is to simply lower the power liftgate. The second one locks the vehicle after you lower the power liftgate. The fuel door is here on the driver's side, and it's a traditional fuel door, not locking, and it has a capless design, so you don't even have to use a cap. Just put the nozzle in there, pump gas, you're good to go. Now it says premium fuel is recommended for maximum performance, so it's not 100% necessary, but to get the actual rated horsepower, you will need to use the premium fuel. Starting it up, as long as you have the key inside the vehicle, you just press and hold the brake and push this button right here. Here's the floor mat in front of the driver's seat. Now you notice it snaps in place just like the other side. There's the accelerator, brake pedal, nice big footrest there as well. Has a good angle. Let's take a look under the hood. To raise the hood, there is a little latch a little bit to the right of center. So you just reach in just a little bit, lift up on it, and then you can raise the hood. And basically goes the rest of the way up once you get up a few inches. You can see right there how it operates. Pretty simple. So there's a little bit of insulation there on the underside of the hood. There's also seals around the outside as well. The engine compartment, this helps with noise and airflow. There's also an insulated battery here on the right side. A little bit of plastic cover covering the engine. It's a 3.5 liter compared to a 9-speed automatic transmission. There's no turbos or anything. Pretty basic, straightforward. So it has a rear cross traffic alert and blind spot detection system. There's the indicator there on the side mirrors. These are heated side mirrors. They're also auto dimming for the driver and passenger side mirror. So the inside of the driver's side door is just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. We have 2 presets just like the other side, which is interesting. The power windows, all 4 are one touch up and down. So you can kind of just touch it. One touch goes down and one touch up. Well, I'm going to stop it right there because I want to show you that it has a double pane glass. So there's actually 2 panes of glass with an acoustic material there on the inside. They help out with noise and add some strength to the glass as well. Side mirrors, you just pick a side and you'll adjust it with this little pad. You can also power fold them in with a center button. Door locks are there. So the driver's seat, usually the driver's seat one-ups the passenger with an additional feature of some sort, but this one has the same. 4-way lumbar adjustments, all the articulation you pretty much need, like a dentist chair, up and down, forward, tilt, everything, and the massage function as well. So both driver and passenger front seats are identical as far as the functionality. To the left of the steering column, there's a couple buttons here. So this is the steering assist. So this helps keep the vehicle within the lanes. It's like a lane tracing type deal. And right here is to release the power lift gate. Right here is the dimmer switch for the interior gauges. And then it has a power tilt and telescoping steering column, which is nice. You can see the paddle shifters right here as well while we're back here looking. I'm sitting in the driver's seat checking it out, and I have the driver's seat all the way down and all the way back to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. I'm 6 feet tall and it's a little bit too far back for me, so I will need to pull it up. So if you're a little bit over 6 feet, should be fine. There is a couple times in which this part right here kind of can get in the way, depending on how you adjust the seat. But when you have it back in a position that's pretty comfortable for you, this is usually not an issue. But since the seat has a lot of articulation, you do have to adjust it properly. Okay, so here's the steering wheel. It's a leather wrap steering wheel, a little bit of flat bottom here to get out of the way when you're getting in and out of the vehicle. Very comfortable steering wheel as well. It has a good thickness, a good feel to it. The surface it's smooth, but it's still grippy. So it's not like it's slippery or anything, but it has the smoothness that's really nice to hold on to. So here on the right side is the cruise control. You do have to turn it on here, and then you can set, resume, and cancel with these buttons. There's also this button for the adaptive cruise control. Now, it sets the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you by cycling through the distances there. And you just rest on the one that you want. And it has a good far distance, as you'll see when we get down the road. Has a good, safe, comfortable, for me anyway, because I like a far distance. I don't like to ride too close, especially at high speeds. Now, disconnected from these buttons way over here, which we saw, is the lane keep assist button. So that's a separate location over there for some reason. But anyways, you want to know where that is because you want to be able to turn it on or off when you want to use it. So right in here is the voice recognition and the phone answer and hang up button. So you can use that for the voice recognition. This one specifically is for answering a call or hanging up when somebody calls you and you're driving. Here on the left side, the volume for the radio changed to the track, so the radio stations, depending on what you're playing right here. This OK, these arrows, and then this scroll wheel and this button all correspond with the screen. We'll get to that in just a minute. Windshield wiper controls are here on the right side, and it does have an automatic function that seems to work fairly well. On the left side is a turn signal, but you also have your headlights, so it's off, parking, headlights, and then automatic. And so right here at the very end is a button to turn on your automatic high beams. Now, they have been a problem with my experience, depending on my location and stuff. So you want to consider that when you're driving, so you can turn those off quickly. Right where the button is at the very end, just in case it starts flashing people and stuff. So these buttons, left, right, up and down scroll wheel, and then you push OK on the scroll wheel to make selections. I'm going to refer to this one as the list button, and then these are pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so here's the gauges. We're going to use those buttons in just a minute. So right now the view is, on the left is the tachometer, the RPM gauge. On the right is the speedometer, but it also has a digital speedometer in the middle there. And at the bottom is your fuel gauge. This is all digitally represented. It's all just a screen. Engine coolant temperatures over here. Odometer, your distance to empty, your range of the vehicle. It also has the outside temperature, the current time, and the status of your Bluetooth audio and what's playing there, which is nothing connected. It's basically your audio source. And the status of your stop-start feature is here. Now, there is different views we'll get to in just a minute, but you can see the center part. It has like a digital compass, also showing the vehicle and these lines next to it. Those are intended to let you know if the lane keep assist is activated or not. So when it's activated, so they call it the steering assist. When it's activated, it doesn't necessarily mean that it sees the road. When it sees the road, it'll show those lines in green and a little steering wheel there, letting you know that it actually sees the lines on the road. Otherwise, just because it's active doesn't mean it's actually going to start turning the steering wheel. If it doesn't see any lines, it's not going to engage. Okay, so I'm going to push, first of all, the left and right. So you can see that center part. When I go left and right here on the steering wheel, you can see it's part of a menu system and it has little icons there at the bottom. So this is where we started. If we scroll up and down on this home screen, first of all, we get that digital compass. Down here is just a blank screen. If you just don't want anything there, you can do that. Scrolling to the right one time, this will be your drive computer, your trip basically, which includes your average miles per gallon, the distance you traveled, and the average fuel economy, and then your time. So if we scroll up and down here, we can reset those independently, and right there is just like a little bar letting you know what you're currently getting in that very moment. Scrolling to the right again, this would be the status of your all-wheel drive system, where the power is going, front, back, that kind of thing. We can scroll up and down here, tire pressure, and then the status of the stop-start feature, and the time in which you can reset this. And it's showing how much fuel you've saved. Doesn't seem accurate because it doesn't turn off very much, but anyways, that's it probably is. It just seems off to me. Alright, scrolling to the right again would be the turn-by-turn directions on your navigation would show up here, but right now it's not set, but it shows a digital compass. Scrolling to the right again shows whatever's playing on your audio system, so it kind of show up here. And also you can, once you have something playing here, you can change the tracks and radio stations depending on what you're doing. The next one would be what you want to have here. So right now it shows speed limit sign. So there's nothing showing there, but as you drive, it'll look out for signs as a camera, and if it sees a speed limit sign, it'll pop up here and show you what the last one was, which is pretty handy because sometimes you're in an area you're not familiar with. You're like, what's the speed limit? I hadn't seen a sign. Well, at least it'll show maybe you missed the sign, but the car might save what the sign was and show you what the speed limit is here. Now if we scroll down, you can see it has the status of the forward collision warning, the lane keep assist, and the blind spot monitoring, and status of those. Scrolling down again, goes to this screen, and this is more specific to the cruise control. So once we turn that on, and we can see the distance between us and the vehicle in front of you, and we can see the actual visual representation there, these little bars. You can cycle through that. And the steering assist. And like I said, once you start driving, it'll let you know if it sees the lines here. Scrolling to the right again goes into the settings. And there's a lot of settings here on this screen that you would think would be on the main screen, but it's actually here. So let's quickly kind of look at it. So right here, the driver assistance, we can go in here. Steering assist, lane assist, blind spot assist, emergency assist, speed limit signs. All this stuff here is in the settings here on this screen. All right, let's go back out of that. Personal display. This is pretty cool because you can select. So right now it's showing what gear you're in, but if we want to go have other information, we can put that in there, including just nothing there if we want. We'll keep the gear position for now. And go back out of that. Eco mode setting, we can go in here and customize that. That's the tire pressure monitoring system. You can reset that when you know, like fill your tires with air and stuff. Vehicle settings, we can go in here. So like I wanted to turn off the beeping every time I lock the doors. We can go in here when we lock the doors, I turn that off. So it has stuff like that in there. There's a lot to go over. But right here, customize display, we can go to, let's see here, main menu selection. We can choose. So like there's all these things right here I have selected so you can see, but if you don't want to have all that stuff as you scroll through, you don't have to have all that stuff there. You can disable the ones that you don't want to use, so that way it makes it simpler. Okay, so we saw this menu system with little icons here at the bottom. It has a lot of settings to go over, it has different features here, and we can choose the ones that we want and we don't want. But if we want to just change the basic view of this whole screen, we can push the list button. Remember this button right here? For some reason that's separate. So let's go ahead and hit that, and what it does, it pops up an additional type settings. And so we have audio source, driver assistance, and personal display. But let's go to this top one because this is the one that's pretty cool. You hit that, change meter view, and now we have a different view. So there's nothing in the middle because that's what I selected, but you can see the gauges are kind of like squished out, and you can see this tachometer, how it works. The speedometer is going to be the same thing on the other side. And we can go back by selecting that again. But I kind of like that screen. I kind of like that. They call it a meter view. Alright, audio sources here, you can make selections here. Driver assistance, we can go into specific things here. And then the personal display is what we saw before, where we can change what we want there on the left. And now when we're in this view, we can always use these buttons here, left and right, just like before. It just looks different. So you can see, go to the right, and you see the little icons are the same, but the center information is a little bit bigger. So, pretty cool. I like this screen because it's just a little bit cleaner looking, non-traditional, just looks neater, and the information there in the center is a little bit bigger. The back of the steering wheel does have these paddle shifters, and they're attached to the steering wheel itself. There's the downshift, and there's the upshift, and it has a 9-speed automatic transmission. It does a great job of shifting already, but if you need to limit your high gear, let's say you need to downshift going downhill, something like that, you can do it there. Okay, so the infotainment screen over here is controlled by touchscreen, or you can use these buttons down here. So there's a scroll wheel, you can bump the wheel to the left and right and make selections, but you're somewhat limited by using this method. You have to kind of like highlight what you want by turning the wheel and make selections here. So you kind of have to focus on it quite a bit to see it and all that stuff. So it has its uses, this button here. This wheel. You have quick access like home, radio, or audio, and then map, and then a camera, which is really good. Definitely want to use that button, and then a back button here. So since that method is a little bit limited, I'm going to just use the touch screen to show you some of the features here. Alright, so this is kind of like the home screen, and it's like sort of like your cell phone, which it has these little widgets and selections here. Just for fun, I'm going to pull up the fuel prices to see what it looks like right now. Alright, so it's sort of by distance. Let's go, well, let's by distance. We did it by price, now we go by distance. Alright, alright, so that's kind of like widget. It's kind of like a home, like your cell phone. You know, you swipe through different screens. You notice he has these icons right here. I wish they would keep those icons up all the time so you can make selections, but they tend to change depending on what you're in. So when we hit audio, it has the audio sources right here at the bottom, even though it has a button over here for sources. So I don't know why they replaced the original buttons, but it does that. It has AM, FM, satellite radio, USB 1, USB 2, Bluetooth audio, and Apple CarPlay. And the reason why Android Auto isn't listed here is because Android Auto, you have to plug in your device. Apple CarPlay is wireless, so it's kind of preemptively shows up here. You'll notice a little section over here that is kind of like a split screen, and you notice it's kind of unused right now. Alright, so right now, instead of those buttons that we saw before, we have these. So if we want to go back to those original buttons, we have to go to menu. Now we can see these again. We can go into the map. Now the map has a full view, which I like, but if you want to have your split screen, you can do that with the map, but I like the fact that it has a full view here. Same thing with the camera system. And once again, this is all changed. So depending on what screen you're in, it will have information here. And once you get used to it, it's okay, but I'm used to having set icons at the bottom so I can quickly go to certain places. And of course, it has the settings here that you can go into and change. So while we're at the screen here, let's push this camera button. And you'll see that it's right now it's showing the front of the vehicle and then a top-down view. So if we push the camera button again, so this has that 360 camera surround view camera system, and it has active guidelines. So as I turn the steering wheel, the little green lines will move, letting me know which way I'm going and all that stuff. Pushing the camera button again, though, gives us a view of the front tire there on the right side. You can see the wheel turning, and that way, in case I'm getting close to a curb or something, I can keep a close eye on that. Pushing it again will give us a fully expanded view to the front. So it really gives us as much visibility as we can. So it makes it really, really big. So if we just can't see it in a smaller position, we can definitely see it here with this expanded view. Pushing the camera again, it just completely goes out of the view. Now if you put it in reverse, go ahead and put it in reverse. We'll get to the shifter in a minute. It's kind of different. Two things will happen. The camera system will pop up, except for now we have the rear view instead of the front, and it has the active guidelines and all that stuff, but also the parking aids will be active as well. And it'll show you a little visual reference there. If you get close to something, it'll start beeping. Also, if there's any motion around the vehicle when you have the camera up, it'll kind of beep and show you the sector in which the motion is, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like a perimeter alarm. Now, while we're in the reverse view, we hit the camera button, and it gives us the wheel there on the top front, the same as before, even though we're in reverse. Hit it again, and now we have the rear view in the most expanded view possible, so we could see it in the greatest detail as possible. Now if we push it again, instead of going out of the camera system, since we're still in reverse, it's going to go back to the original view. When we're in the satellite radio selection, so we have the different views here, but satellite radio has little icons and stuff and lets you know what's playing, and your presets are there at the bottom. You can always change sources. You can also sort by categories, notify you if there's a particular song playing or something, or a show that you want to listen to. It can notify you as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. So this first info has some information here. The next one is the audio. The next one is the map. The next one is connections. And the next one is settings. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the screen and how to use it. There's quite a bit of information in there, so it's one of those things you have to set up before you start driving. Make sure you're familiar with the system, how to use it. You don't want to be fumbling with it while you're driving, because it's a little bit of a learning curve with this particular system, especially with most vehicles, but this one, you know, for me anyway, it seems like it takes a little bit longer for me to get used to this particular system. Okay, so we have a climate control, kind of like a mixture of buttons right here, but mostly climate control. There's a volume button, also turn off the radio as well, seek through your tracks, tune through the folders. So if you have like a device connected and has folders and then tracks within the folders, you can change through the folders and then select the track that you want here. You can also switch the screen day and night mode right here. And these buttons are, they're a soft touch button, but let's say you just tap it like this. It's not like a touch screen. You actually have to press it, and you'll feel a little vibration in where you're pressing, let you know that you initiated the press. So it's not like you could just tap it like a touch screen. So you can sit there and tap it all you want to. It's not going to do anything. So you can't accidentally press the buttons as easy. You kind of have to have a purpose to your press. You have to really push it like a regular button. The climate control is below those. There's four-way flashers as well, but climate control is here as well. And so it's a dual. It's actually a tri-zone. So the driver and passenger temperatures are here, and they're synced right now, so that you know that they're synced. But you can also control the rear as well. You can turn the rear on and off, and you can also lock the rear, because the rear, as you saw, has its own climate controls back there, so the rear passengers can adjust that if they want. But if you want to adjust it here and lock out them, let's say there's kids playing around, or it's just, you know, you just want to somebody's not being nice to you, you can lock out their climate controls, and you can control it up here. There's also front and rear defrosters here as well. Fan speed, where you want the air to blow, so you can press that, change where you want the air to blow, and it gives you like a little visual reference there. It has heated and ventilated seats for both the driver and passenger. So here for the driver, compress that, and it gives us a 3-stage: high, medium, and low. So the little blue bars right there, so there's high, medium, and low, and then of course off. Same thing with the heated seat: high, medium, low, and off, and those are red instead of blue. But since it's like steaming hot today, I'm gonna have that on. And it's the same thing here on the passenger side as well for the passenger seat. If you want to recirculate the air, you can do that. And it does have a cabin filter, so it's cleaning the air. You can turn the climate control off here as well. And remember, you actually have to press it like a button. It's not like a touch screen. Okay, so we saw the start button there. Here's the shifter. So the shifter, let's go ahead and put it in reverse. And you push this button here, and you push up, because you can see the little reverse is there. So now we're in reverse. You can see the camera came on and everything. To put it in park, we simply just push that button. If we want to put it in drive, we pull down on it. Now it's in drive. Now you can see the D is highlighted. Let's go ahead and pull it down again, and it goes into manual mode. So that's where you can use your paddle shifters. So let's go ahead and pull it down again, put it back in drive. So if you want to put it in neutral, you press the button and you pull it forward just slightly, it'll go in neutral. To go in reverse, you go all the way up. A little bit down, neutral, all the way down, drive, down again is manual. At any time, except for when you're driving, you can hit this button to put it in park. So there's drive modes here. So as you move it, you'll see on the screen what drive mode you have available, and you can make selections. So it has personal, sport. Personal is where you have already preset up. Sport, automatic, which I guess it just like depending on the road conditions or how you're driving. And then eco mode, which emphasizes fuel economy over performance. And at the very bottom is the snow mode. It's actually on a separate page here. So automatic seems to work fine for me. You just rest on the one that you want. All right, there's the stop start feature off button. Now, this feature seems to just like, the only time it turns the engine off is when you, like say you don't have the air conditioning on and stuff, because it'll just pop up and say, well, we're not going to turn this feature on because you have the air conditioning on. So so far I hadn't really had to turn it off. It just kind of doesn't cut the engine off. so far at all, you know, because it's other things are a priority, like the climate control, I guess. All right, so let's continue this way. This is electronic parking brake. So you pull it on to engage it. It has a little light letting you know this is engaged, and it engages the rear wheels. To disengage it, you hold the brake and push this down, and it'll disengage it. Auto hold. So this is when that is turned on. It'll hold the brake for you. When you come to a complete stop, you will need to push the accelerator to continue driving. It'll just sit there and hold it for you. And these are the buttons we saw before with the turn this to make selections. Kind of goes around and highlights different things there on the screen. Push down to make selections here to confirm the selection. And then you have quick access buttons with the audio, the home screen, the map. When we push the map one time, it shows up here. Push it again, it expands it out, which is pretty cool. There's a back button and of course the camera button. All right, so right in here is there's a USB and USB-C port. Also, there's a wireless charger here. So you just lay your phone there and it starts charging. It lets you know that it's charging right there with that little highlighted button. And it even works with a case, so I can put my case in there and it works. It's like if I have a case on my phone, I took the case off because I was doing other stuff, but you know, it's no problem. Even if you have the case on it, it will charge it. Also, it's kind of rubberized, so as you're driving, your phone's not sliding around. It pretty much stays put. Here's some cup holders, and it has these little articulating arms. It accommodates for different size cups, and it's open in the middle as well, so you can put other stuff in there if you want. There's a slight light in there as well. You can check out my night video for that. Okay, so this armrest is pretty cool because it has this, it's soft, kind of rubbery soft, and it feels good quality and kind of lines up with the rest of the center area. And it has this center stitching in the middle, so it's kind of like property lines. So if you want to share it with your passenger, you can kind of tell them to stay on their side of the line. Push that button, and this opens up, and it doesn't flop back down. It's kind of spring-loaded, and it keeps it from slamming back down on you. Has a place to put a pin or a tire gauge, a little clip there to keep your registration or whatever. And this compartment is felt lined, and it has a USB port and a 12-volt power supply, little shelves in there as well, put some coins or whatever. And as you can see, I put some stuff in there. Let's take some stuff out. You can see it's kind of like hard to see 100% because it's so dark in there, but you can see it's like a little side pocket and felt lined area. But you would think it's a little bit bigger than what it is. It's not really that big considering how big this area is. But it is useful, and also if it's too big, it turns into a big mess. So maybe that's what the idea is, to keep it from doing that. Now, right in here, I don't know if you notice, there's a little spot for wires here and here. So wires could go in and out of the compartment without getting pinched. So it has an auto dim rear view mirror, and it's actually auto dimming right now. And the side mirrors are auto dimming as well, here and here. And the reason why is because I have the shade over the light sensor, which is located back here on this side. Now, you can get the higher trim or upgrade and get the one with the rear view camera system, which is highly recommended because there's a lot of limitations. There's a lot of seats, there's a lot of headrests, there could be a lot of passengers. So it's not as easy to see through all that stuff sometimes. So having that camera makes it a lot easier to drive and see what's actually behind you without all that stuff in the way. So that's one thing to consider, is the rear view camera system. There's a place to put your shades right here, and it's rubbery inside. It's like a rubber lining inside. It has some lights. You can turn on all the interior lights, turn on a specific light here, have them turn on with the door when that's selected. Emergency roadside assistance. There's also a little tiny light right here. It gives you some, and just a tiny bit of soft light, and then when it's super dark, it kind of helps out. This is for the shade, and that's for the sunroof. We'll get to that in just a minute. The visors have a little clip, a little light, and a mirror, tiny mirror, kind of small mirror. It does slide out as well. and it's a cloth. It's just like the headliner. Has a pretty good sized sunroof here, and it has a shade that covers 100% of the light. So let's go ahead and move that back using this. There's two buttons. This is for the shade, this one's for the actual glass. So let's move the shade back. Push it again, then go all the way back. Same thing going forward. You have to push it and then push it again. All right, so now we have a fixed piece of glass back here, and this is the one that moves. So let's go ahead and move that back. Push it again, it goes a little bit further back. Once it goes in place, now we can tilt it up by pushing in on the button, and then it'll tilt up a little bit. Just a little tiny bit of air flowing through there. All right, now we can close it, and then of course we can close the shade. On a real hot day, sometimes you don't want a lot of light in here because it does make the climate control struggle to cool the inside. So looking at the visibility in the back, like I mentioned, there's headrests in the way, there's pillars in the way, and of course if you put passengers back here or cargo, then all that's going to be in the way. So it's not terrible. It's just, for the type of vehicle it is, it's actually not too bad. But it does have the camera system, the blind spot detection system, rear cross traffic alert, parking sensors. It has a lot of technology to help you with driving the vehicle. And if you were to, on top of that, add the rear view camera system, so that way your mirror, you're not relying just on your mirror, then that'll be like icing on the cake right there. One thing you'll notice when you get in a vehicle and you start to drive, you put your seatbelt on, and it has a seatbelt pre-tensioner, so it kind of tugs on the seatbelt slightly to make sure that it's not just kind of loose. So it's something you'll notice when you get in. Having the seat adjusted properly is good because there's so much adjustments with the steering wheel, the seat, and all that stuff that you could put yourself in a position to where you're uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that the seat's in a position that you're comfortable. Adjust the mirrors properly. It could use a rear view camera, and a higher trim comes with the camera, but I wonder if there's a way you can upgrade that, because there's so many things to get in your way between the mirror and the rear glass that the rear view camera would actually do a little bit better, I think. The camera system is good. Being able to see around the vehicle, especially when you're pulling into a tight parking spot or a parking lot, or a gas station or something where it's kind of, you feel a little bit, especially if you're not used to a vehicle this big, being able to see right there to the right side, and also behind these pillars and stuff, you get to have certainty anyway. You could drive it no problem without the camera system, but it just gives you a little bit of additional certainty, especially if there's young kids in the area. You want to make sure they're not directly near the vehicle as you move. You can have certainty with that as well. So the shifter is actually pretty easy to use. It's a little bit non-traditional, but I kind of like it. It doesn't stick up and get in the way as much, and so it's one of those things that it's different, but I like it. This is one of those vehicles that the size and weight and the way it's tuned with the suspension, it kind of smooths out bumps. You still feel the bumps, but I accidentally put it in manual mode there, but it's in drive now. You feel the bumps, but they're kind of smoothed out, which kind of makes it like a little bit of a rocking horse sometimes, depending on the bumps on the road. But it does smooth them out. And it helps when you have more weight in the vehicle. If it's just like me in the vehicle and there's not a bunch of other people in, there's less weight. The more weight you have, the more it smooths out those the larger bumps. But it's not really a big deal at all. I just want to mention that you might notice as we're driving that the vehicle kind of goes like that, because it's hitting bumps and smoothing them out, but it makes it into larger bumps basically. Now the transmission, it's a 9-speed automatic transmission, and it's the ZF 9-speed transmission, which is in a lot of other vehicles. Honda uses that transmission, Jeep uses that transmission, but this one is tuned slightly different to where I don't really recognize it. Usually I can recognize that transmission. This one, they seem to do a good job with problems with the lagging in that ZF transmission, but this one seems to be fine, especially when it's cold. Like my Honda Ridgeline has a ZF 9-speed, and when it's cold, it just doesn't shift right, but once it warms up, it's better. This one, just like you start it and go, and you don't really notice anything, which I'm glad to see. And it's relatively quiet. You'll notice that exterior noises, most of them don't get through. You do have a little bit of road noise, a little tiny bit of wind noise, but it's pretty well sound isolated. Now, as far as the acceleration, it has different drive modes here. So let me put it in sport mode and just kind of accelerate, just so you can hear what it sounds like, because the engine sounds pretty cool. So you have the nice growl of the V6, the transmission shifts nicely, and so it's like a little bit over 6 seconds as far as 0 to 60 on ideal conditions, obviously. But I did a little bit of wheel slippage back there because the roads are a little bit wet. Now the cruise control works pretty good. It keeps you at a good distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. The lane keep assist is not working good, so I don't really use it. And it works, but it just doesn't match my preferences. It feels like it's constantly fighting me when I'm driving, and it just doesn't matter where I position myself in the lane. It's not satisfied. It's constantly either going left or right, and it's never, I just let go of the wheel, and then it basically seems to stay right where I had it, but then as soon as I hold the wheel, it's constantly tugging left or right. So I just kind of turn it off. I gave up on trying to get used to it. It just doesn't work for me. Same thing with the automatic high beams at night. I have a night video you can check out. Initially, I thought they were working good, but the more I drove it out of town on back roads and stuff, it picked up on reflectors a lot, and it would constantly dim, high beam, dim, high beam, dim, high beam, rapidly sometimes, and it looked like I was trying to get somebody's attention. So other cars, it's confusing to other cars, to say the least. So I had to simply just turn it off. It was just too problematic in that regard. Now, it didn't have any problem with blinding other drivers though, because it was kind of overly sensitive, I guess. So it would dim to make sure that it wasn't blinding somebody. But the problem with that is it picks up on every single little light, like reflectors and stuff on the side of the road, stops street signs, and it just mistakes those as tail lights or headlights and just constantly dim. So it will go on high beams, and then the high beams will illuminate reflectors that weren't illuminated before, and then it'll instantly dim, and then so it won't see them anymore, and then it'll go back up, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, and yeah, like I said, it's not really good. So just to demonstrate, I'm going to turn on the steering assist, and we'll see if it recognizes the lines here. Okay, so it is recognizing the lines, and so it's trying to tug to the right. So if I let go, you can see it's kind of trying to follow the road here. So let me hold the steering wheel. So now it wants me to go towards that car. Now it wants me to go to the right. Now it wants me to go to the left. See, I'm not even really putting any pressure on the steering wheel. I'm just trying to fight against what it wants me to do. And it's like it wants to constantly go the opposite direction in which I'm holding it. Like, I don't want to go hug the center lane when there's oncoming cars, but it wants me to go that direction. And when I fight against it, then it, basically constantly wants to go to the right. And then when it, it's nonstop problem. So let me turn that back off. The braking is really nice. I mean, you just don't have to worry about it. You just drive it and don't have to, like some large vehicles, it feels like that it's such a heavy vehicle or whatever that when you push the brake, then you have like this nose dive, and you're like, the brake system is just barely hanging on there trying to slow down the vehicle. This one is like, you feel like you're a car, you're in a car that's lighter and it's not a big deal. The braking, even if you just kind of really push down on it, has a little bit of a nose dive, but nothing like some other vehicles. Same thing with the steering. You just don't really. There's nothing to report as far as. It feels good. It feels good. There's no negative quirkiness to it. The steering wheel is nice and comfortable. It is a heated steering wheel, but it's summertime, so I'm not using that. So now we're getting into some more bumpy roads. So it handles those real sharp bumps really good. It just kind of glides over them for the most part. It's the kind of heaves that kind of makes it annoying sometimes. Which I guess pretty much most vehicles are going to be annoying bumps in the road. But it seems like this one handles it a little bit different than I'm used to. So I notice it more. Now, one thing I notice when I'm playing music and I stop, then people outside the vehicle can hear the music like pretty loud. So it doesn't tend. Apparently, the speakers are positioned to where the noise can get outside. So that's a little bit not my preference anyway. I prefer to have my music in here and then not blasting the other people so much. Some of the menu systems and things they're easier to they're easy. It's better to set them. I'll just say this: it's better to set them up before you start driving, because some of them, unless you're really used to the system and you become used to it, some of the features are a little bit of a pain to get to, because you have touchscreen, but you also have buttons down here and a wheel down here, so there's a little bit of a learning curve as far as getting to some of the features that you want to get to. It's not as intuitive as I would say other vehicles, but once you get, just like anything, once you get used to it and you're used to going to specific things that you want to get to, then it becomes really a non-issue. It's just make sure that you familiarize yourself with the system and whether you're going to do the touchscreen or the buttons down here or whatever to get to the features that you want while you're driving, because while you're driving, you don't want to be distracted. So you want to make sure you're really proficient with that before you start driving. I like the fact that the turn signal is not very loud. Some vehicles are just a little bit on the annoying side because they're so loud. But this one's nice. So as far as driving it and then having your family and stuff in here, I think it's a really good option because you got a lot of room back there. It's easy to, secure and use the vehicle with car seats in place, which is a plus. And it's quiet, it's comfortable, and you just have a pleasant environment to spend time with your family and talk and stuff like that. And easy to get in and out of. That's another thing. When you're trying to get in and out of vehicles and it becomes a hassle, you just kind of dread going anywhere because, it's like, oh, we got to all pile in and we got to you know, feel uncomfortable getting in and out. And then once we get in position and we stop somewhere, we all got to pile out, and it's not fun to do. So this one's easy to get in and out, relatively speaking. And it's not like a minivan. It's not quite that good, but it's pretty darn good. And so this would be a good substitute for a minivan for sure. And you'll notice that the windshield wipers turn on and off because the rain sensing windshield wipers controls have an automatic function, and they seem to work really good. It's just been misting though. It hasn't really been like a downpour yet, so you know, I'm curious as how that's gonna handle that. But so far it hasn't. It's been good. It's been working really good. I like to just turn on the camera sometimes just to kind of see around me. It's fun. It's just a neat little thing to look at. You can see where you're positioned in relationship to other cars and the lines on the road. It's more useful in, you know, of course, parking lots and stuff, but still fun to turn on when you're sitting at a stoplight or something. It also detects movement too on the cameras, and it gives you like an alert. So if there's somebody walking around your car, it'll, like you heard that little beep there, it'll beep and then it'll highlight the zone in which something is at, which is pretty cool. It's a safety issue, really. I mean, that's a good idea. I mean, it's kind of like a proximity alarm. If somebody's walking around your vehicle, kind of lets you know. Maybe you're playing around with your phone or you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden somebody tries to sneak up on you. It gives you that alert, lets you know that there's somebody out there and where they are, and it actually shows you that on the camera. But anyways, there you have it. It's a very interesting vehicle. It has a lot of features. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It's a good replacement for a minivan, hint, hint. And it's, I mean, I think it's a great vehicle overall for what it is, you know. But anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.